What's up, guys? Episode 3 of the Foreign Exchange Podcast. I've got Tamiem, I've got Aaron, and we've got some stuff to talk about. You know, maybe some stuff that happened over the past week, some that are coming up. I wanted to clarify a few things from the last episode. I checked. In my community, I went around and I checked. I did not see student driver stickers. And my community is like heavily Indian.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're going to get the clarity you want or you need.
You're going to see them.
I don't know.
You'll see them. You'll see them, bro.
I counted one driver that I saw
with the student
in the
driver
entire week.
sticker?
Yeah, it was one sticker, but it was an old Indian
It was
lady.
yeah. Okay.
But she could be like learning how to drive, you know?
She could be a student. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Or maybe she was driving her daughter's car.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I only saw one sticker.
You'll see more.
Yeah.
You'll see more.
I'll keep an eye out.
You know, winter's coming. No, the student driver stickers are coming,
The
bro.
stickers are coming.
They're coming, bro.
That's funny. What do we want to start with? We got a few things that's happened. Super Bowl this past weekend. You guys watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Best halftime show of all time.
Think so?
Yeah.
That's because...
Right?
But you got to explain why.
No, I'm not going to say it's the best, but I would definitely say it's top 5 Super Bowl performances of all time, in my opinion. But I'm also a big Kendrick fan. I like that the song that he did with the Drake beef, being able to do that, being able to do that for a halftime show, I think is huge. Also, that beef, I feel like people forget a lot of what's going on and the magnitude of certain topics just because there's a new hot thing to talk about every couple days. Yeah. But that Drake and Kendrick beef was probably one of the biggest rap beefs since Biggie and Tupac. So to be able to perform that in the halftime show, I think is huge. And also just Kendrick's the GOAT, man, in terms of rap, lyricist, top 3. He's a good performer. It's hard. It's really hard to be a good rap performer live. It's not like aesthetically pleasing, and it's not the best like just concert to go to. But Kendrick puts on a performance unlike, you know, other people in the genre. So he's a complete artist, and I don't know. I'm a big fan, huge fan. So top 5 for me.
You know, as somebody, I think as a group that's getting more into production, you know, with audio and video, I couldn't hear the audio very well. So I don't know if that was like my, you know, my system, but yeah, they got to do better there. But yeah, a lot of messages, right? Kind of hidden messages or probably not hidden. Serena Williams comes out and starts crip walking out there, right? He's got SZA there, you know, doing their songs, and he had Samuel L. Jackson come out and play Uncle Sam. Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I really liked that. I liked the message that he sent out there, and I thought it was a great performance.
Like you said, there's a lot of hidden meanings.
Yeah.
I think when we look back on it, it's gonna age really well.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, maybe it's not getting as much love as I think it deserves, but 5 years, 10 years from now, I think it's gonna age pretty well.
I started to go down the rabbit hole of, you know, kind of all the different messages he was sending. Last night I watched this, I think it was a 25-minute video that broke down every segment of what he did, from, you know, the PlayStation buttons, right, to of course, you know, all the dancers replicating the American flag, and maybe in some portions there was you know, kind of the division between, maybe there was a reference to the division between the Bloods and the Crips, right? So I went down this rabbit hole, and I couldn't get out. So I wanted to, you know, kind of get your guys' opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I totally just disagree. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, if you have to do research after to like figure out like hidden meetings for a Super Bowl halftime show, like you lost the plot for me. I'm like, that's not the point of a Super Bowl. Like a Super Bowl is like a big American like celebration almost. Like it's like a holiday that's like unique to our country behind a sport, which I think is which is fun in general. You don't have to necessarily be like a football fan to enjoy a Super Bowl Sunday, because I mean, there's like so much data and like stats that go into the whole like commercials and what it means to get a commercial, which Kanye West had a commercial in the Super Bowl, which was awesome, and we can talk about that. But in the middle of his Twitter rant, like he also got a commercial. He's brilliant, just marketer. But people come to the Super Bowl, you know, they're obviously sports fans. There's obviously big gamblers. It's like the biggest gambling day. There's, you know, people who come for the entertainment. Like a lot of like the girls I know, my girlfriend, her friends, just women in my life, my mom, my aunts, whatever it is. Like they're looking forward to the halftime show. Like that's the part of it that they like. So there's just so many different reasons to watch the Super Bowl and why it's like a fun day, I think, in American culture. Like Kendrick's good. Like I like Kendrick. I'm not like a Drake versus Kendrick person. I like both of them for different reasons. Like I'll put on Kendrick if I'm in a certain mood. I'll put on Drake if I'm in a certain mood. So in terms of like the beef that they had, yeah, no, he like completely dunked on Kendrick. Kendrick completely dunked on Drake, and that was crazy. And like in terms of a rap beef, like to put the cherry on top in a Super Bowl performance and make like a meme that will live forever, that's awesome. But the performance itself, I mean, the Super Bowl is meant to be this like medley of like the greatest hits that like an artist has, or like a big collaborative. Like you mentioned some of the people like SZA and Samuel L. Jackson and whatever, you know, we have it up there. That's fine, but I think rap is not a genre that to me works for the like entire kind of public, like on a stage like that. Rap is good in your car or in your headphones at the gym. It's good as a feature for a Super Bowl, but you need like musicians, you need dancers, you need a good vocalist. You could hear somebody hit a certain note when they sing, and you could not be into any kind of music and be impressed by like, oh my God, like that was amazing. And it gives you like goosebumps. Like a performance like that, it's like, I didn't know what he was saying half the time either. Like besides the songs that I know some of the lyrics to and the A minor and like the little parts that like kind of get like trendy and you can follow. But to me, it's just like, it was super forgettable. I think people will remember the, you know, the Drake beef part of it and the meme that came out of it, but I don't think they're gonna really, you know, the whole hidden meetings and you know, like Donald Trump was there and he was doing this like "This is America" type of like, you know, we are the people like messaging. It's like it's boring. I don't know. It's like not entertaining. And the whole point of that day is to be entertained, not to be like educated on something. And that's just my opinion on it. Like the game itself was fun. You know, the Eagles are just like such a good team. The performance was just mid, you know. It's not like something that I don't think it'll age well. You know, I still watch like replays of like Shakira and Jennifer Lopez's like halftime show, or Michael Jackson, or like there's a year where it was like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Aerosmith, and everyone's like collaborating and singing each other's music, and it's like one big party. And to me, that's what a Super Bowl halftime show should be. But when you get like too genre specific and like pull on that thread, it's like you lose the plot. Like people are like, oh, this is, you know, like I don't want to watch this. Like, and then, which sucks because again, it's no slant on Kendrick, because Kendrick's great on his own, but in terms of like the Super Bowl performance, it's kind of meant for something different. But you know, everyone who are Kendrick fans, they like it. And people who are Drake fans, they hated it. But like the everyday person who doesn't care about the beef was like unimpressed. Like they were like, okay, like what am I watching exactly? Especially if you look at clips of people who were in the stands, like they're not really hype. It doesn't feel like a concert. Just like they're all kind of just like watching, and they were saying like the volume wasn't great. And you know, if you watch it behind the TV, obviously the little things he does is for the screen, but in terms of a big celebration party concert, there's no like shredding a guitar or like ripping the drums or something that is like kind of across the board everybody likes, no matter what genre you're into. And that's just like harder to do with this specific genre. But that's
I think a lot of like the performance is also not meant for the live audience, right? It's meant for television. So the entire production and the way they set it up, you know, they're not looking to entertain the people that are there. They're looking to entertain the millions that are watching at home, right? Because that's really where they're making their money. I think what you're saying makes sense to me, but I think a lot of what Kendrick did was exactly tackling that, right? Which was, oh, you're supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do this. This is not the platform for you. You know, this is not the right place, not the right time, right? Which is what, you know, Uncle Sam was there saying, no, that song's too ghetto. Don't sing that. Or give me something mellow. Give me something, you know, I can like maybe sing to. Maybe I can understand, right? A lot of them, and I think prior to the performance on an interview, you know, when Kendrick was asked, you know, what can we expect? He said storytelling, right? I think his performance was exactly tackling a lot of those beliefs, which is it's supposed to be a certain way. And I think what he's trying to say is it's supposed to be whatever way you want. You know, we're supposed to be accepting whatever and whoever we are. And don't let, you know, somebody out there tell you like, okay, you could do this, you can't do this.
No, but that's not, I understand what you're saying and you're right for sure. But my point is that it's a celebration.
Yeah.
So don't come and poo-poo it with some like political meaning. Like this is a time where everyone's supposed to come together and celebrate all different backgrounds and races and creeds. And it doesn't matter. Like, this is a day like where we just, you know, enjoy our you know, eating our wings, coming together as like the Super Bowl. It brings people together. Like where did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I watched it with, you know, my family, with a group of people. Right?
Exactly.
We had, like, friends come in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's usually how it is. Nobody just goes at home and watches it on their own. And for the people who have to do that, like that sucks. But for the most part, it's like you get together, group, friends.
Sucks that you're alone.
Sucks that you're alone. But you get together. It's like a holiday for, like I said, for us. So like, let's not do the politic, like cultural, like meaning stuff today. Yeah. Like what's the point? Like it actually separates people more than it does like bring them together. Like it's like you're catering to your audience. You're not catering to an event, like a spectacle. Like there's like, you're trying to push some kind of narrative where I'm like, okay, you don't always have to do that. Like there are moments in time where it's louder. I mean, to me, it's like he does a big celebration. He brings different featured artists. Maybe he brings like a Lil Wayne or, you know, somebody from New Orleans, or like like people will lean more into that. And then when people lean in, like your voice is louder. Then you can actually, like, if everyone's leaning in, like when I talk, you're going to listen. But if I'm just abrasive up front, you're going to be like, I don't like even care what this guy says. Like you're not really pushing any kind of narrative. Like it just becomes about you. Like I think this whole stretch that he's been having is weird, to be honest, a little bit lately. Like the whole Grammys was like a dunk on Drake and like a Kendrick celebration, and now the Super Bowl and like Apple Music, and it's like this trend where I'm like, all right, like what's the point of this? Like it's not like entertaining for everyone. It's like so like entertaining for this like cohort of people that like, it's like, okay, you guys had your moment, great, like it was fun, but like it actually, like a lot of people in the room I was sitting in were watching it like, okay, like I don't, what is he saying?
Like
I don't even understand what's going on, and it just like kills the vibe almost in a way. And it's like, all right, like if that's what you were going for, I'm like, cool, but that's not the point of the Super Bowl. It's just not. Like if you know, if you were going to like a celebration, let's say a wedding, right? And say your brother's getting married, and you take the mic and you talk about something that's in your culture that needs to be called out because it's a room full of people that need to hear it. It takes away from your brother's wedding, like in the celebration. Like it's not about you. It's about the celebration of like, can we have something that's good? Can we all just get along one day, or like get excited about something? Like that's kind of where I come at with it, where I'm like, again, like I like his music. I like Kendrick. I just thought it's just like that stuff gets like boring fast, and it doesn't stick and it doesn't hold, and people won't go back and be like, remember when he did this? Like what exactly did he change by doing it? Like, oh, all these things he called out, or the narrative he's pushing against, like what's the result exactly? Like You know what I mean? I guess that's my point. For me, it's like it's a halftime show. It's a celebration. Like, bring me your A game and bring me a top performance. Like, I didn't like Rihanna's halftime either. I mean, she was like 6-7 months pregnant. She could barely move around stage, and it's like, okay, why would they pick somebody who's not able to like put on like a spectacle, because that's what this is, and it should be this like competition every year to like top the year behind it, right? Like, just again, a big kind of coming together, you know, when you get chills after, like, whether it was Coldplay or, you know, a lot of the more recent performances that if you can go back. And then it's funny, like, the like record labels like push the narrative. I think they tweeted, let me see if I could find this. They tweeted that Kendrick's halftime show like broke records, and they had a tweet last year. The same company, I think it was like one of the labels like tweeted that, well, that he broke a record, but the same Twitter account tweeted the same thing last year for Usher, and it was like over 246 million views. Usher broke the record last year, and then they tweeted this year over 100-something million views. Yeah. Kendrick broke the record, but then they had to take that down because it was just a lie. Like, you know, the numbers don't line up. But anyways, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm trying to be objective about it, and I'm like, objectively, like, the different people in the room that I was in were all like, huh? And the people that I noticed liked it are just Kendrick fans from the jump. You know what I mean? Like, they're just people who like him anyway. So, you know, my take is rap is just not it's like one of the lower genres that work in a like stage and stadium. Like, the performance aspect of it, rap is better in the studio, like, you know, from the speakers, like in the car and your headphones, you know, in a gym, like blasting before like a sports game. I don't think like getting on stage, it's hard to, like, Kendrick couldn't have been on stage by himself and been entertaining. You get what I'm getting at? Mm-hmm. Like, you put like a vocalist, like a Beyonce or somebody who's got a good voice, whoever it is.
I mean, he basically was though. He basically was though.
He literally was never on stage alone.
What do you mean?
Like, you have to dress it up with all of this background stuff with like dancers.
Well, it's the Super Bowl,
yeah, but that's always there, right?
That's always there.
That you're talking about.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that you need to do that with rap. You have to like add so much extra things to add an element of like excitement, because if you're like a rock star, you're shredding a guitar and you're singing. Or if you're like a pop star, you're like dancing and you're singing. Or if you're like a vocalist, like, you're hitting these notes that captures the entire audience. But with rap, and this is not specific to Kendrick, this is just rap. Like, with rap,
well, that's part of the art, though. The part of the art is the show. Like, if you go to a fashion show, it's a spectacle too. It's not just like super.
Okay, I'm talking about the genre of music doesn't work standalone when other genres do, because you have to dress it up more. It's like part of what you're saying, part of the art. Yeah, like, they had Serena Williams on stage, Crip walk in to Not Like Us, and it's like Drake's ex, and there's like a storyline there. It's like you kind of have to do that with rap to get just more of an entertainment aspect out of like the performance.
But who decides that? Like, who decides it's entertaining versus not, right? It's the people consuming it, right? And if the performance is there, I think what you're comparing it to is music also goes through different phases, right? Like, if you talk 10 years ago, yeah, you know, you get a rock band out there, that's what the consumer wanted. I don't think that's what the consumer today wants, right? Like, rap, hip hop, that's what the consumer wanted. That's why it was either Kendrick or Lil Wayne, right? Like, it was kind of, I think people were expecting, Lil Wayne, and when Kendrick got announced, because it was
at New Orleans,
yeah,
right?
The only reason they were thinking Lil Wayne because it was in New Orleans. But my opinion here is that it's not going to be rap next year, because of the response that like you said, the people gave. because
but you have to take away Kendrick from rap, because Kendrick is like one of the greatest artists in our generation, and he's like one of the greatest rappers of all time. Like he's like the Mozart. Like if Mozart performed the halftime Super Bowl, like people would be like, oh, like some people don't like that kind of music, right? And a lot of people but there's an importance of having somebody like that level perform a halftime Super Bowl, even if people aren't gonna like it. Like I'm pretty sure. What's the highest award in music? Is it the Pulitzer? There's like an award in music that's like above the Grammys, and I'm pretty sure Kendrick's the only rapper that has won that award.
Again, but you're just standing Kendrick. Like that's not the conversation. Is about like how like impressive he is. Like it's like a smaller percentage of people enjoyed that halftime show, not like the greater percentage. And that I think would happen with any rapper.
Okay, but if Mozart did it, even that same small percentage wouldn't.
That's just not true. Like I don't know why you keep bringing that up.
Like
if Mozart did a halftime show,
yeah,
like, what
for
are you
real.
talking about?
If Hans Zimmer did a halftime show,
no, because he's
like Mozart's playing the piano.
Yeah, for real,
going off.
You're just naming people that you like. I'm talking about
in that A minor.
I'm talking about like the spectacle, the occasion, like grabbing everyone's like attention. There are things that like when a person hits a certain note vocally, you don't have to be interested in that genre of music. You're gonna get goosebumps. There's nothing about his performance that gave his non-fans goosebumps, because there's nothing about it that's like just uniformly like amazing. You have to literally go and do research about the hidden meanings behind everything, and that isn't the point of the Super Bowl. Like it's just not the point. Like you lose the plot there to me. But if you feel like the Super Bowl is meant to be a stage where you're supposed to push like your agenda, or you want to politicize like the biggest sporting event because it's like good for the community or culture somehow, if like that's your stance on it, then I'm like, okay, but I don't feel that way. I feel like it's literally a day where we can dumb it down. Everyone could just enjoy themselves, not think about anything besides like be just like entertained, like laugh at the commercials, get excited about the sport, enjoy the musical aspect of like the halftime show, and watch something that you wouldn't see outside. That was like a music video for his like album. Like it wasn't like something that was like, to me, like a standalone. Like if I watched that standalone, I'd be like, oh, this is like a Kendrick like new tour that he just put on TV. It wasn't a Super Bowl performance. There was nothing spectacle about it. That's just, again, that's the way I see it. You say like Mozart or this or that's like that's not the point. That's not rap. It's a different genre, and it's like decades and hundreds of years like removed from like right now. So yeah, if Mozart performed, like I don't know if it would connect with people, but if you put Post Malone on stage with like a country pop star and Kendrick Lamar, like Kendrick's still leading it, but he's got features from these other sections that are weaving their music into his. It's like for the greater audience, but that's not what he wanted. He wanted it to be like his like tour, not like, you know what I mean? And I do think that the Super Bowl will move off that direction and get back to these more collaborative events, because it's just better for everyone. It's like if like Miley Cyrus, we talked about, if Miley Cyrus like featured on that, it's like boom, you just grabbed a whole another wing of people. Like boom, it's like that was like specifically for his audience. It wasn't for anyone outside of his audience. And if you disagree, then I don't see like do you think that was for people outside his audience?
I don't think he even cared about the audience. I think he just wanted to put a work of art together that like was his stamp. And that's what a good artist does. A good artist doesn't. But really
why
care.
does he need the Super Bowl?
A good
to do
artist
that?
doesn't
why does
cater.
He need the Super Bowl? Why did he accept the Super Bowl to do that? If he was a good artist, like wouldn't he put that together himself? Like why do that in the Super Bowl stage?
Because the Super Bowl is another thing on your resume that just shows like your amount of work that you've had before you.
So then it is just about him.
It's about his passion to his work. Yeah, it's about like how much he's obsessed with putting out just art.
So yeah, it's not about the people who come to the Super Bowl and watch it. He's not thinking about like everyone. He's just thinking about his own stuff.
Yeah, I mean
that's what I'm saying.
But that's what like a good artist, a great artist, when they don't cater to what like the crowd wants. They go out and do exactly what they want, what they're obsessed with, how they feel. And Kendrick is one of those people that are really good at telling stories, and that's really like sets a new norm. Like he like exactly what Shujan said. I agreed with you like 100% in terms of like his storyline, his ability to be like, hey, he knew what he was getting himself into.
So
and
my
he
question
knew the
is,
backlash.
that's more important than the Super Bowl. Like that's more important than the event itself. Is his net messaging, his art. Like that's more important than like getting booked to do a show and being like, I'm gonna celebrate everybody and everything about this, but I'm gonna focus on just doing my thing. It's not about the audience of like, because he accepted doing this show for the Super Bowl, so it's like somebody's cutting his check. He's not creating his own thing. This is not his thing. This is like the Super Bowl will be a thing. Without Kendrick, with Kendrick, he didn't impact the halftime shows. He didn't like raise the bar.
And Kendrick's gonna be Kendrick without the Super Bowl too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, he was asked to do that because he's Kendrick, not like, hey, come in and put on a performance the way we want. It's, hey, Kendrick, this is the stage for you. Go perform. And to me, like that was his performance.
Yeah, but
like I understand you didn't like it, or you wanted it to be maybe a grander celebration, maybe something that
because
unites.
And maybe the majority of Super Bowl fans didn't like it. Maybe, but like that
that's
doesn't.
true. I mean, but that's.
But I think majority of the Super Bowl fans
this
didn't like
is more
it because
divisive
of
than it is.
True.
Like, this is more divisive than it is.
Yeah.
Bringing people together. This mindset is more.
But he was tackling the division.
Exactly.
But if he's tackling the division, how do you tackle division without saying that there is
by
division?
bringing people in first? If you're ever going to bring other people outside of your audience into your audience, the Super Bowl is the exact platform to do that.
If you look at any conflict, right, any major conflict worldwide, it was never resolved because people just somehow came together. It was resolved because there was an actual action taken to speak against that conflict, right?
Yeah, and an outspoken
disagreement,
action that really receives a lot of backlash is usually like one of the most important points, right?
Yeah. I mean, let me give you an example.
Right? He was gladly happy to take the check to do the Super Bowl and then just do his own thing.
First of all, I don't think artists get paid for doing the Super Bowl.
But
like they get like a production budget and they get to
if it's not directly in their pocket, they get that's the most people watching him live at one time.
Yeah.
Of anything he's ever done.
Like maybe he'll make money, from people, just new audience he's captured.
Yeah, I mean he's already like you guys again are missing my point because you keep making it about like you're saying he was tackling the division. What I'm saying is like on that stage, it's more effective to draw in your entire like the audience of the Super Bowl, the people who come for the event, not because people are not tuning in for Kendrick. They're his fans were, but like the greater audience of people who watch the Super Bowl, they don't come for one person, they don't come for one team. Like people watch the Super Bowl because the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, but so many football fans whose their team wasn't in the Super Bowl still watch the Super Bowl. People are going to watch it because it's like an American holiday, right? So I
think people will watch it regardless, like if there's a halftime show.
I think the artist in the Super Bowl is more important than the teams who play in the Super Bowl.
Again, you keep making it.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
You keep showing your bias. You keep showing your bias.
No, if you go around the world and you say, "Oh, do you remember Shakira's performance?" Yeah, but do you remember who played that year? Do you remember who played the year Rihanna played this?
Because
won the Super Bowl?
Shakira plays at the Super Bowl once. Super Bowl happens every year with different teams, though. I don't think that's a fair comparison, right?
It's not.
Like what you're talking about is a singular event versus a repetitive event that happens every year.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's why the artist lives the artist performance lives longer than the teams who play in the Super Bowl. Like it's more memorable. Sometimes like the Super Bowl.
No, you just remember that Shakira performed. You don't remember like what songs she performed.
They put banners up for the winners. Like that lives forever. Remembering what team played in what year, because there's a Super Bowl every year and there's teams who play in every year and the artist only comes once or twice. That's different. Like you're talking about two different things. Like of course you're gonna forget who played that the year that Shakira and Jennifer Lopez did the Super Bowl. It's like of course you're gonna forget, but you're gonna remember they did it because it was the one time that they did it. And I'm pretty sure Kendrick did a Super Bowl like a couple years ago, right? Yeah, and he featured it and he played his greatest hits, and that was that was fine, and then he couldn't run it back because he already kind of did a version of it, which I can understand that too. And I don't blame him for accepting it. I don't blame him for being platformed as like the it guy, because last summer it's like the beef starts. He makes Not Like Us. That's like the song of the year. So he's the most popular because of this beef, and his stuff just like elevates. But again, it's more effective like what Michael Jackson did versus what Kendrick Lamar did. Because Michael Jackson had really hot takes and opinions and like cultural like issues that he wanted to push forward and bring like light to. He wanted to do those things, but he did it in a way where it's like, I'm going to entertain. I'm going to show the world like how entertaining I am. And I'm going to do it in a way where I'm bringing everyone in. I'm not like blocking people off. It's like, how are you gonna?
You're not
like,
alienating anyone.
You're not.
I mean,
so how is your
your
voice impactful if your tactic is to alienate people first, or like speak to this like plot like subcultural thing? Like, how is that more effective? It's just, to me, it's not. It's clear that it's not, because everyone's opinion right now is like, miss me with that. Like, I don't want to hear that. So then how are you impacting people beyond the people who already follow you? Like, who did he win over beyond the people he already had? So then tell me, why is that impactful? Like, how to make that make sense to me? You're saying like, oh, it's like he's doing that. He's not doing it for other people. He's doing it for the art. And I'm like, okay, but this is the Super Bowl. It's not like his standalone concert. It's not something that he brought together on his own. It's something he's a part of. It's not about him. He's a part of this bigger thing. So, okay, like, you're in it. Now you can draw people in on the other side and then like deliver a message home, and people are gonna be like, well, I mean, talented mother, effort. Like, I'm gonna have to just maybe think about a little bit what he said, but it was just so like off-putting up front that it's like, didn't really change the narrative at all. Like, that's just, again, that's my take on it. I don't think we'll see another rap centric Super Bowl in the near future. Maybe they go
like
hard,
a solo.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
Yeah, but who else would do it?
Yeah,
what are you
like,
talking about?
there's not
my question. Like, who else is there that's like
worthy
up there? Like at Kendrick's level.
I mean,
like
this
that can go like singularly like headline a Super Bowl.
There will be people. There are people. You can make arguments for like a Drake type. You can make arguments for these types of people. But if Drake did it, guaranteed it would be a medley of like people and collaboration. He wouldn't do standalone.
I mean, that's his style anyway. Like,
that's his style anyways, because he understands the power of like bringing everyone together, and that's just not Kendrick's superpower, which I understand. I just, like, in the next 10 years, there's going to be another rapper that like rises the ranks and becomes the guy, right? But it'll never look the same as it did, because it was a poor, it was like poor results for the everyday person. Like, ultimately, like, viewership and numbers and eyes and conversation maybe is there. I don't know if it's as much as other things, but like, so many, like, I don't really know how many girls liked it. Like, let's talk about like women. Like, I really don't think so
why?
Then you're,
why do you say that?
Because it's just like, why would they? You know what I mean? Like, what about it was like,
why wouldn't like women like the same thing that was put out there? It wasn't like a focus towards men, right? It was a performance that anyone could like regardless of their gender.
How many percentage of people listen to rap are male versus female?
Not sure. You'd have to look that up. I mean, are you making the claim that it's significantly more men than women?
I think it is. I think that of
the people that listen to rap, you're saying there's significantly more
in general, significantly more. Kendrick specifically, I think his audience is predominantly male like based.
Probably Drake's is more
because he has love songs and he caters to a bigger audience. I don't know one girl in the room that I was in, and there was like 15, 20 women that was entertained by that at all. Like, I didn't, like, they got on their phones, and girls, like, again, look forward to the halftime show. And I'm like, okay, like, this is kind of more of what I'm talking about. It feels like, this was very much for a subset of people and a narrative and politically charged and all this stuff that's like so extra. It's like, bro, can we take a break from that for a second? Like, do we have to do this now? Like, if the shoe was on the other foot and it was some like hard right country singer and was just like catering to that audience, like how would other people feel? Like, you know, how would you feel about that?
I think like country music is more widely accepted across like different demographics versus like hip hop and rap, right? I think it's still like how many people listen to country versus how many people listen to like hip hop and rap. I think there are definitely more people that listen to country in general anyway, at least within, let's say, America, right? If you take worldwide, maybe like hip hop is more, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting performance. I think it was a platform for him to go and perform, and that was his performance. And I think the messaging piece, I say that I was looking up the messaging, not because he did a poor job, just because I'm uneducated, right? So I just wanted to, understand what was the story that he was telling. But I don't want to spend too much time on the Super Bowl, but to summarize, Aaron hates hip hop and rap. Tamiem thinks
I love
Kendrick's the modern day Mozart.
But I go to the Super Bowl to be entertained, not to be.
Yeah, and you were not entertained.
He's a mixture of Mozart and maybe Shakespeare, honestly. Kendrick, yeah, the goat, bro.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll put a side by side of Kendrick, Shakespeare, and Mozart. Yeah. I'm sure you wouldn't be.
I'm fully ready for
Romeo and Juliet, and then you got Not Like Us, bro. Just honestly,
I'm
2025 Romeo and Juliet.
I texted you when that beef was happening because I was like following it closely, and when Not Like Us dropped, I was like, this is over. Like, this is the best song of all of this like beef. Like, it's the most like catchy. It's the most like authentically like West Coast and then it just dragged out for so long. And then you see all these like Hollywood executive types like hop on the bandwagon and then ride it. And it gets gross pretty quick. It's like, okay, it was cool originally, but now it's like you guys are all dunking on Drake all of a sudden when before you guys all liked Drake. So I'm fully ready for the Drake comeback from all of this because I wasn't like so hard on Drake versus Kendrick. I think Kendrick kind of won me over in all of it, and I was like, yeah, no, Kendrick is a little different. Like he just has a creativity to him and an understanding of his own identity and culture that's like really cool, where with Drake it felt ubiquitous. Like he always was trying to be everything at the same time, which can be kind of lame. But now I'm like, nah, Drake's about to come back from this, and I'm like Team Drake all the way. I'm like, bro, everyone's dunking on this guy so hard.
The only thing Drake's doing is like serving Kendrick with lawsuits.
How would you feel? Hey, here's a question.
Kendrick's one of the greatest storytellers of all time, for sure, hands down. But Drake is up there in terms of his level, his impact that he's made in the music industry. So Drake would be one of the people that would be considered for a Super Bowl performance that would be amazing. Like, I know you said that
I would love for them to play that storyline out.
I would love
in the next Super Bowl.
If he does any comebacks, hopefully in 2025, for him to do a comeback in the 2025 Super Bowl as the halftime show. Yeah. I would love that. Like, that would like be the cherry on top.
Like drop an album right before.
And it would be so much more entertaining. Like to me, it's like.
But it's not so much more entertaining. It's still part of the same like plot. Like, it's still part of the same movie. You know what I mean? It's just the next movie.
No, but the performance itself, like the entertainment factor. Like, if you have to have like Samuel L. Jackson like narrating like throughout your performance, it's because it's not good enough standalone. There's just all this.
I completely disagree, bro. I completely disagree.
What are you talking about?
Because that was just part of the art. Like, he did that as part of the art.
Look, you sound like just a stan of Kendrick. I'm talking about the Super Bowl. Like, you keep going back to like, oh, it's part of this art, and like he's got like this. I'm talking about like the Super Bowl, like. If you go to a concert,
so are you talking about as the person in the crowd, because there's millions of people watching it from their TV, right? So you have to do this thing where it's a good performance for the people in the stadium, but you also have to make it look good as a video.
If it's a good performance, everyone's entertained.
No, it's different. Like,
okay, so you don't think everyone in the theater and at home was entertained when Jennifer Lopez and Shakira did theirs?
I think that's still considered one of the top 5 best Super Bowl performances.
No, but that's my point. That's what a Super Bowl performance should look like a party.
Yeah.
That was not
You don't
a
think
party.
people saw the Kendrick performance from their TVs and was like, wow, this looks like a movie? You don't think any people thought that?
Yeah, the people in the stadium clearly didn't feel like it was a party. The people at home couldn't understand what he was saying. There was so much confusion. His fans keep telling me about how like impactful it is. This is like the trends. Non-fans don't like it. So explain to me how that it's entertaining of people who aren't fans of his. you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be a fan of Whitney Houston, but when she belches and like hits notes, it's like, bruh. Like, you could watch American Idol and it could be some fat Samoan guy, and when he hits a certain note, like, you're like, you might get emotional because it's entertaining. You don't have to be politically charged or have underlying meaning or have somebody narrating or have like all this extra stuff to make it like art, like you're talking about. Like, it's not an art festival. It's not the Grammys. It's not about art. It's the Super Bowl. This is literally about entertainment. That's what the Super Bowl is. Like, it's literally the pinnacle of like American sports entertainment. And so the show should be an entertaining show for everyone involved. And if it's not the focus, and the focus is on like messaging and like getting other stuff around, it's like, bro, we completely missed the plot. But we can move on from this. I do want to know what you guys are what your opinions are on the Serena Williams piece of it specifically. So like, say you're married, would you be cool with your wife going on stage to dunk on her ex? Like, how would that make you feel?
Yeah, I wouldn't like that at all. That would piss me off. Yeah.
It's like that, you've never really moved on energy, right?
Right.
Or like, it still matters to you, so you take that extra effort to go make a stand against somebody, right? I mean, I don't think I'd be okay with that. It's like, you've moved on, move on.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it. That's why when
I saw participating in something that's deliberately made to, like, forget the Drake and Kendrick thing. You're going at this from a perspective of he was your ex and you want to hurt him.
Exactly. So the purpose of his performance was tailored towards a certain narrative and not exactly for the sake of just entertaining people. Like, he did those things to create a narrative and to drive that narrative forward. Do you understand that? Or like, to you, that's just super entertaining and like that's how it should be?
Yeah, but he didn't force her to go. Like, it's still her decision to participate, right?
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's fine, but like, it was was his performance, so he gets to decide how.
What was the question again?
The question was like, what was the purpose of that? To entertain like the audience, to bring people together, to have some kind of like ubiquitous, just like fun time together, or to just further dunk on someone that like he clearly had this vendetta against and wanted to like bring it home? I think it's
just like you want to take it to that extra step of.
I think it's a combination of everything. I think that they came up to him and they asked him, "Hey, do you want to do the Super Bowl, like performance?" And he was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna do the Super Bowl how I want to do it, and I want to create sort of a performance that has a story, that has my songs, that takes a jab at Drake." I think, and the way that he weaved all of it was, I think, awesome. The way that the crowd, the fan from home watching the TV enjoyed it.
But not the people there.
Like visually, just like it looked like a movie when you were looking at it. The him sort of teasing A minor all the way through the whole performance was cool. The
like
symbolism, making people wait for it.
You didn't know if he was gonna play that.
Yeah, you didn't.
So
know
it was for his audience, is what you're saying.
See, but you keep on saying that, and I don't even think it was. He doesn't tailor it for his audience. He just created a story. Like,
it's like he's being himself. I don't think it's like meant to direct towards somebody.
Quentin
he wanted to tell a story.
Quentin Tarantino, do you think he makes a movie for his audience?
I think if Quentin Tarantino got signed to create something for the Super Bowl, that he would create it for the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think he would just push his own.
It wouldn't be a touch of Quentin Tarantino.
Of course it would be. That's the whole point of having the artist. Like, is having a touch. Like, Shakira didn't go on stage and only speak Spanish music. Like, she did something that was for the audience.
Yeah, but that's also because she has not her music's not only Spanish music.
Well, Kendrick's music's not only Drake disses. You know, it's like
but
he didn't have.
How he performed.
That's not how he performed.
Okay, but who is his what was the major, like one of the major people who came and featured?
But that was part.
Serena Williams.
Well, that was part of it, but
yeah,
SZA was also.
What part of it was for everyone?
It wasn't for everyone, and it's never going to be for everyone. But
my point is that if Quentin Tarantino...
Okay, but did people buy a ticket to Kendrick's concert, or did people want to watch the Super Bowl halftime performance?
But they're watching it, and it's Kendrick. They know it's Kendrick. They have the ability to go watch. If they don't want to watch, turn it off. I'm sure people turned off. Like, there are plenty of people that walked away,
which again,
didn't watch.
I think we're talking about different things, but what I'm trying to focus my point on is that I think Quentin Tarantino is a really great director and writer. Greatest of all time, one of the top, right?
Okay.
And if somebody came up to him and was like, hey, can you do an intro or a halftime sort of clip or a commercial for the Super Bowl? He would say, yeah, he would do his touch. He would tailor it to the theme of the Super Bowl, but it would be a Quentin Tarantino. It would be standalone. Like, you'd be like, damn, that's a Quentin Tarantino thing. Like, that was awesome. People might not like it. People might have opinions on it, but it would be so Quentin Tarantino, and it's unlike anything else. No one else could replicate that. The same thing with Kendrick. Like, he tailored it to the theme of football, as in like the division. I'm sure he like the division in America, the racial division, the demographics. It was controversial. It was a great story. It was a Kendrick halftime Super Bowl performance, and he blew it out of the water.
Coming from a fan, though, that's my point. Like, there's no one who was not a fan of Kendrick before who's a fan of him now. I just want you to know that. So then you have
I mean,
to, like,
I don't know if that's true.
you got to find me the person. Literally find me the
I mean,
find
like,
me the person.
my ability to find them does not dictate that, okay, you know, there weren't people that didn't listen to him and since have started listening. I'm sure some data is going to come out about how, you know, let's say he has X number of monthly listeners on Spotify, right? How that number after the Super Bowl has shot up, which implies that there are new people listening to him who are not listening to him today. I'm sure that exists.
No, that.
I don't know.
No, you just bring me. Give me an example, because I'll show you examples of his
He's gonna die
stands.
on
I'm
this
sure it's
side,
gonna come out. I know it's gonna come out.
No, because
You
it's
hate
his
Kendrick,
stands.
bro. You hate him.
Yeah,
His
I
stands
get it.
stand him
Dude,
and tell me about how like amazing he is.
Yeah.
All the other people who have no like
Yeah.
chips in this game, who didn't know Kendrick before,
Yeah.
were like, "What the hell is this?" That was literally the response I was getting in the room of people who didn't listen to Kendrick.
But you're in a small
didn't
bubble,
know
though.
him.
But you're in a small bubble, right?
Okay, but that's
Your
uniform. You could
experience-
go on the public town hall, which is Twitter, and
Sure.
you're gonna find the same thing. That you're never gonna find a tweet of like, you know, I wasn't a fan before, but I'm a fan now, because that's not
I'm
what
sure
this was.
I'm
like,
absolutely sure you'll find tweets of people saying, "Man, I didn't listen to Kendrick, but after that performance he put up, you know, I listened to his music. I like his music."
No, more. You go on it. It's the Kendrick fans who are like harder Kendrick, the Drake fans who are harder Drake. That was so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's divisive. The like pro like black culture people being like, this is for us. This is like a you know middle finger to this. Feeling good about that.
Yeah.
The white people being like, what the hell is that? Couldn't understand half of it.
Yeah.
It was just exactly what you know. It took away from like a day of just like having fun, entertaining, kind of dumbing things down and not thinking that hard. And that's, to me, with the Super Bowl. If you guys think the Super Bowl is something different than that, then we can, you know, have that opinion. But for me, it's like, this is literally the one sporting spectacle that's supposed to be, you know, and again, these things are all tied together. This is the first time that a sitting U.S. president attended the Super Bowl. Yeah. Right. So maybe that goes into the game plan that Kendrick has. Oh, Trump's gonna be here. I'm gonna do this
like
for that.
Stand.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe even Trump going makes it political. Maybe he shouldn't have gone, right? Yeah. But like, that's kind of my point, is like, it becomes about something that it's not. Like, we're sitting here trying to talk about like the meaning behind it, like the art behind it, not just the pure entertainment value of the performance. Like, his fans were entertained and engaged because they've been following the plot, and they see the dunk on Drake, and they see the hidden meanings, and you go and look it up. But the everyday person was not entertained by it because it wasn't entertaining for like the ubiquitous like everyday fan. It just he didn't create a performance that was just about like a celebration and having fun. He had all those different angles in art, because that's, like you're saying, you know, who he is, and that's, he's doing it for himself and his art and his unique. And I'm like, bro, that's not the point of the Super Bowl. Like, I keep going back to that. It's like, the point of the Super Bowl is not to do this. Like, the point of the Super Bowl is it's literally a celebration. So if you're delivering like political messaging or like some kind of like underlying theme of like things, then you're making it about yourself, and you're making it about your art and your fans and like your people, and you're taking away from like the spectacle. The next time, if let's say there was like a back-to-back, like Kendrick's doing it next year, so many people are not going to watch and be like, I don't care about this. Like, this is
But the only reason he got on the Super Bowl was because everyone wanted him to do the Drake diss. Right?
That's not.
If he didn't make that
that's
song,
not true.
If
man.
he didn't
like,
make that song, like
it
would
have
have.
True. Everyone wanted that.
I mean, everyone that like tuned into it was expecting him to do that song, and he got that spot, in my opinion, because.
Then why did he save it till the end? Like, why was that like the climax of his performance?
He got it because the song was trending because of the beef, but the everyday fan and audience of the Super Bowl, like that. they don't care about that. Like, the booking, like, and that's a whole nother topic. We can move off this. The booking for the Super Bowl, like, they miss a lot. Like, they miss a lot. And I don't think they missed with Kendrick. I'm not saying, like, Kendrick was a bad choice. I just wish he approached it differently and made it more entertaining for everyone. Like, that was just kind of like,
you just wanted it to be, like, more inclusive.
Yeah, like, actually doing something to make an impact and create change, not just like stroking your own ego and thinking that you're like doing something.
I mean, I don't know how much like it changed. Completely disagree.
Yeah, but again, you're a stan, bro. Like, you're not objective in this. That's the thing. Like, you don't have like an objective, nuanced take. You have like a pro Kendrick take. It's pretty obvious because you're a stan of his. Like, if
what's
you
a stan?
Like, you're
a super
like
fan.
Super fan.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
like you will. The stan is not super fan. A stan is like, I think it's derived from the Eminem song.
Yeah.
And his like his obsessive fan. So then they use that.
I mean,
like,
I'm that too.
Yeah, you are a stan of his. So it's like he could have literally went up there and just for like 20 minutes, and you would have like picked that apart as like how like creatively genius it was. And that's
no fact.
You would have still called him Mozart for that.
I would have been like, that's
I'm
next
literally
level.
sitting here saying.
If he just hummed for 15 minutes?
If he just hummed for 15 minutes, he
I'd
would have
bro,
been like, bro, he knows something nobody else knows. He won a Pulitzer. He did this. He did that. I'm like, bro, none of that stuff to me matters. I'm a fan of Kendrick. I really listen to him. You can go to my like Spotify and check the hours listen. Like, you'll see that I listen to his music. I also like want to just be entertained at the Super Bowl, bro. I want to sit there and for everyone to like really like not halfway through be like, what is this? What is he saying? Well, what's going on? I want it just to be like a fun, like if he's just like bringing people before the Super Bowl, there's going to be a special guest. I was like, this guy's going to bring Drake out. Like what? Like,
oh dude, that would have been wild.
What a wild thing to do. But
wild.
Again, it wasn't about that. It was just about this like and I do have that opinion of rap is not a good genre for that specific spectacle. I just don't think it is. I think it should be a feature. I honestly think it should always be a mix of genres. Like the performance should be like
just include more people.
Let's get one of each thing, because like if you had a country singer singing and then Kendrick coming in and rapping like something like against that, it's like that to me is so much fun and cool and like everyone could celebrate. And I think that's where my bias bleeds into this, is like my expectation of the Super Bowl is for it to be a big celebration, not somebody's like, concert or like music video, because that's exactly what that was. That was just like his music video. It wasn't like a halftime Super Bowl performance. Like when you have Michael Jackson like coming in from the ceiling and like singing his songs and everyone in the stands are going absolutely nuts, like that's fun to me. Like it's supposed to be fun, and to me that wasn't fun. And if you liked it for the art, like good for you. Like I'm not hating on that. I think it was artistic. He's clearly smart and an amazing storyteller. Like obviously, I mean the whole beef, like when I look at it through the lens of just like the Drake and Kendrick beef, just through that lens, I'm like when he sat there and smiled and said, "Hey Drake," and like looked at the camera and like created a meme in real time, like he knew that smile and that look would just do numbers online. Like it's to have that kind of like vision is so like impressive. So like when you look at it through that angle, like I'm impressed. But from entertainment, from a pure Super Bowl like halftime show, like what's good for the masses, it fell short to me. I'm like, all right. And that's not just my opinion. That's like the collective like response that like you can do a poll and you'll get his fans say good, his non-fans say not good, and everyone in between are confused. That's kind of like the overall how it landed.
Yeah, I think just difference of opinion on this. But talking about being impressed, another thing that happened last week, and I know you guys are big fans of the UFC. So UFC 312, Plessis, Strickland. I think that was like a big disappointment for me. Just the overall card. I don't think it was a good card. I think they just, I think Strickland is great at like talking and building up a fight, but when he's there and when he's in the octagon, he's not very impressive to me. I don't know,
I think he's a great fighter. He's a great point fighter. He's really underrated defense. I don't think a lot of people respect his defensive game. The way he shells up, I think it's very unique. And
yeah, but nobody wants to see a guy be defensive, right? Like the way he talks,
Bro, nobody wants to see Kendrick at the halftime.
Pull up, go Google who's the only rapper who's won a Pulitzer.
Bro, we're moved on.
No, I want to
like,
see it. Put it up because.
But again, that's such a stand take because you're bringing up the past again. Like I'm talking about the performance of the Super Bowl.
It's.
By the way, I don't think Aaron's disagreeing that Kendrick's a great artist.
Look, this is a stand, brother. Like this is like
stand. It's not a stand.
He's like, who won the Pulitzer?
It's a
huge
accomplishment, bro.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the Super Bowl?
But I could be wrong. I want to know if that's true or not.
No, you know that's true.
He might even be the only black artist who's won a Pulitzer. Like that also might be like that's crazy.
Dude,
like,
this and like student driver stickers and Teslas.
How many rappers have won the Pulitzer Prize? It's gonna be like 1,000. One rapper.
All right.
2018 for his first became the first non-classical or jazz artist to win a Pulitzer. So it's only won by classical and jazz artists for the entirety of the award.
Yeah, what does that have to do with the Super Bowl? Yeah, I know, but like this is
why is it huge? It's like
but here's the thing: he's just proven me right that like he's a stan because you're bringing
by the
up.
way, he's agreeing that he's a stan. Like you were saying, you're a big.
But
fan
what do you
of
think? What do you think about bringing up the Pulitzer when we're talking about the Super Bowl?
I mean, I don't think that like validates anything.
It doesn't.
You know,
it makes no sense.
It's no different than saying like, okay, Kendrick has this many Grammys. You know, this person does not. So ergo, you know, he's way better. Awards are all arbitrary, right? I think music's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how people perceive it. And are you saying that you would only respect an artist if they won a Pulitzer Prize? Like,
no,
that's what defines
saying.
that they're great.
Is that what it sounds like I'm saying?
Well, what are you saying? Are you saying because he won a Pulitzer, the Super Bowl was good?
No, I'm saying because he's won a Pulitzer, it sets him apart from all the other rappers that you put into this bubble of like rappers. That genre is like not entertaining in the Super Bowl. But I'm saying,
but this also doesn't define entertainment in a live Super Bowl environment.
No, but I'm saying the quality of the work that he's done is,
which we agree on. I mean, we all agree that he's a great artist. We're not saying he's a poor. I mean. This is where I'm like switch.
This side of the table.
Dude, I'm about to flip over to the other side.
Yeah. Tamiem needs to Kendrick hire Tamiem. Man.
You know, I was on your side until you brought up this Pulitzer Prize.
This is why I was like,
no, because
Black Panther was the best soundtrack of all time.
Anyways,
okay?
let's go back.
The best movie soundtrack of all time.
I didn't
want to
bring it back
if
to that.
Anyone disagrees, go into the comment section. The Black Panther is the best soundtrack to any movie of all time, especially any.
You're just proving my point.
What soundtrack to a movie? What soundtrack to a movie is better than Kendrick's Black Panther? And how monumental?
21 Pilots.
21?
When they had that one song on, what was it?
Is that the Joker movie? Oh, come on, bro.
No,
Tamiem, you proved your point. He's won a Pulitzer.
So,
and he's made the Black Panther album.
Done.
In a movie where it was the first black Super Bowl. First black Marvel character.
Bro, we agree he's good.
I'm going to break this whole place.
You're about to rage out.
He loves Kendrick. He loves him.
I'm going to flip this table, bro. I'm getting pissed.
Kendrick, if you're watching this, if you're one of 7 viewers, all right, just tell Tamiem that you love him or something.
Gosh,
he loves you.
He just wants to be appreciated by you.
He loves you.
Can we move on?
Let's play that. Somebody play the Stan song in the background.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta edit that in.
Put a clip you just
it's
talking
like,
about
hey,
the
Kendrick,
Pulitzer.
I came to your show. Yeah. You didn't look at me. He's like, why didn't you look at me?
Now my girlfriend's bleeding in the back of the car. How could you not?
I threw her off the bridge.
She didn't get in the car, so I ran her over to come to your show because you won the Pulitzer. No, but with the UFC stuff, for real, the level of yapping that Sean Strickland does is out of control. For like, I'm gonna go to war for you guys, or I'm gonna bleed for you.
I'm
gonna bleed for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to war for you guys. And then when he fights, my take on it is that it's like notorious that he spars a lot. That's how he trains, is just like sparring. So he spars so much that he is like a defensive genius. Like he's got like such a high level defensive like fighting. But when you spar that much, you pretty much turn every fight you're in into a spar. And that's exactly all of Sean Strickland's fights. It's like point fighting. It's like sparring. It's like avoiding getting hurt. If you spar 100 times, like you're going to learn how to not get hit, because then you can't spar anymore. Like it's becoming a sparring session. And when I watch him fight, I'm like, bro, this is just another spar. You can guarantee that it's going to decision. Like, unless he fights Alex Pereira type guy who just rocks his world and knocks him out. And that's why he always talks about, he's like, it doesn't matter if you're winning, he has the nuclear option. Like, he can just knock you out. So he's a hard person to beat because you could be beating him a whole fight and all it takes is one for him. So when you watch him, I'm so happy. Like, Dricus is just awesome. Like, he puts on a performance. He does everything that Sean Strickland like yaps about. He goes to war.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, he kept his pace up the whole time, and yeah, I mean, you would have loved to see a finish.
So are we saying that? Are you guys saying that Sean Strickland is a boring fighter or just not a good fighder?
No, he's boring.
Yeah,
you can't like.
I also don't think he's a good fighter. I think he's good defensively. But
he's
compared to like what he's put out there, I mean, his only significant victory was against Izzy, right? Like that's why he got the title. I mean, when you look at, I think he also won a decision against Costa, right? I think, but when you look at him, and the way he fights, I think he's a better talker. Like he sells tickets, and I think that's why the UFC loves him, because it's all about entertainment to them.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to just MMA and how he does inside the octagon, he's not entertaining, and he doesn't seem like he's like a highly skilled fighter. Like, he doesn't have like a wide skill set.
No, I disagree. He's super skilled. I understand what you're trying to say, but his skill is more tailored to the defensive side of like the fighting. So like the everyday kind of casual MMA fan, if you watch him, you're like, what is this guy doing? But in reality, it's like such high level chess where he's neutralizing his opponent with like his like teeps and like his just jabs and his like Philly like guard where he puts his shoulder up, and it's really hard to hit him. And even Dricus,
I don't think there's anything, at least if we're talking specifically about 312, there was nothing intelligent about what he did, right? I mean, he was clashing.
I mean, his coach
corner.
Eric, his coach Eric came out and was like, they pretty much broke up after, because
right?
he was like,
wow,
because he came out and he was like,
Eric
from he went on the Helwani show and he was like, listen, like, I want to fight people who are trying to win championships and like go for it and be the best. And like, I don't think Sean and I are aligned. And a lot of people were giving him shit because they were like, how are you going to say that about your own fighter? And then Sean Strickland came out and was like, he's still like a friend and like we'll still maybe train together here and there, but he's no longer going to be cornering me. And I'm like totally in agreement with Eric Nixick, because Sean Strickland is so out of pocket with the things that he says about like Muslim people, Palestinians. Like, he was talking so much like wild shit, and then he talks about fighting and he calls this person, he's like, let's go to war, and like, come on, like, let's do it, come on. And then when it comes fight time, he's not risking anything. He's literally point fighting, sparring, defensive fighting. It's like so boring.
If you're
and
behind 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
When you go into the 4th,
you got to
get knocked out, or you go for it.
You go for it.
But I mean, we're also like not in the octagon, so
But you can say the same thing about Max Holloway, right? Like, the majority of Max Holloway's fights has gone to decision because of the amount of volume he puts. So he's a
dude. Max Holloway literally met Justin Gaethje.
Okay, but that was one that was so abnormal to all of his other fights.
Okay, but that was the sign of a man.
I mean, Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar fight was also super entertaining. One of the most entertaining. Like, run it up. Let's run it up. I think he broke the amount of significant strikes landed.
Yeah, output.
Yeah,
Sean Strickland gives no output.
But
it's not even just output. It's even the output that he does give are just jabs. Like, there's no.
Yeah, he doesn't risk anything.
Yeah.
Max Holloway puts his like money where his mouth is. Like, he actually risks it. He's also wins on points like other people do. But there's no one like Sean Strickland that when he's on the mic, he talks this big game. But then when he's in the cage, it's just not what it is. If his own Eric Nixick, his own coach, is saying that, like, that's all you kind of really need to know to understand that. Like, the time of Sean Strickland being like a draw is over. Like, I'd rather see him in a fight night in the Apex talking shit to somebody who's like, he's won so many split decision. He's so boring. I think. I mean,
with the way the division's shaping out anyway, I don't see him like climbing back to the top anyway.
No.
But I'll tell you, what I really respected about Dricus is after the fight, a lot of the times we've got people like in the UFC ducking each other all the time, right? We'll talk about, somebody, one of those. But specifically about Dricus, if you look at his post-fight press conference, one of the questions, what's next? He's like, Khamzat. He's ready.
After the fight.
He's not ducking anybody.
Totally agree.
Dude, I respect that so much.
Dricus is just awesome. Like, he's like the perfect, like, archetype for what you want your UFC fighter to be. Like, he gets better every fight. He goes for the finish. He's good on the mic. He talks good shit. He's confident. Like, he's loyal to his team. They have like a specific team. And you're exactly right. After the fight, he calls out Alex Pereira first because he was there, and he's like, "Let's go! Like, I want Pereira. Like, is there?" He said, "Is there no one else?" Like, screaming, like, "Is there no one else?" And all he tried to do was finish on Strickland. He broke his nose. He got close to finishing him, but because he's so defensive and just like squirmy, like, it was hard to finish him. But like, all he tried to do, like, he put himself out there after like winning rounds to still potentially lose because he was going for the finish. And that's what makes a good UFC fighter. And then in the press conference, like you said, a lot of UFC fighters will be like, "Oh, well, he hasn't earned it yet," and they need to win more, because they want to avoid, when you're at the top, you want to avoid the biggest challenge to stay at the top longer. I think a lot of UFC fighters do that, but he's like, "No, Kazmat's next," and he's like calling Kazmat out, and he's like, "Let's go," and that's awesome. Like, Dricus is one of the more ideal like archetypes of a UFC champion because he puts it all together. Guys like Sean is just like, I can't believe he won the belt. Even Izzy to an extent, an amazing warrior, but like you get to a point where, I don't know, it's like, what more can you give, I guess, and you kind of like have to like manage. It goes back to my theory that if you fight and you spar as much as these guys have, like all the kickboxing fights that Izzy has fought, like, you eventually get to a place where like your goal in the fight isn't to finish your opponent. It's just to manage them, to get through it, and to win the fight. And
you're just looking to get rounds.
Izzy's run of winning the belt and being the champion was one of the like greatest runs in that weight division of all time, for sure. Yeah, I think his biggest downside to his performance.
But was the division really like this competitive when Izzy made the run though?
I mean, Whitaker is a championship level. If Whitaker would have been a champion if Izzy didn't exist. Go to Izzy's fighters.
Just looking at Duplessis real quick, he got Till, then Brunson, then Whitaker, then Strickland, then Adesanya, then Strickland again, all in like convincing fashion. Like, none of those fights were close. The first fight with Sean was relatively close, but it's because Sean makes it hard to judge the scorecard because how defensive he is. But taking a look at Izzy, I think Dricus is putting a better resume together than Izzy.
It's getting close. It's getting close for sure. But Izzy was also the kind of person who, after he won, he called out Yoel Romero, like, and he wasn't even Yoel Romero wasn't even a contender.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, he was still a threat, and I respect Izzy for that for sure. But Romero was old and not like necessarily.
But nobody was fighting. Nobody wanted to fight Romero. Everyone was afraid of Yoel Romero at that time, and for a long time, people were like didn't want to fight him. He was like, no, I want to. After he won the belt, he was like, I want to fight Yoel Romero. Like, who does that? It's insane. Like,
I agree. That was a good call out, but it wasn't like he wasn't the best version. And then anytime he did fight somebody that was more of a threat, he kind of lost to that person.
And then he went up and fought Blokovic.
He went up and lost to Blokovic. Vittori's kind of met. Whitaker's obviously good. Cannonier's kind of middle of the road again. Then loses to Pereira.
Yeah, I think
his beats Pereira, which is his best win. Yeah, that's his best win, and that's kind of the.
I think that's the highlight of his career. I think since
highlight
then,
it's all been like highlight of the UFC. Let's talk about
since then he's lost 3 in a row. So you know what I mean.
Right.
So
and he's fighting on fight nights, not even on pay per view.
Well, that like the Saudi Riyadh like fight nights are just as big as pay per view, and this is something my boy MMA Guru, shout out to MMA Guru, like he always talks about how like they always put together the best cards for like Riyadh and for Saudi, and it bothers him because he wants it to be fair across the board. And like other like Australia, this one was just in Australia. He's like, why is like a pay-per-view Australia card not as entertaining as like a Fight Night in Riyadh? Like, why do they always get the best fights? And the reality is like they're ponying up the money, and so Dana's going to cater to their audience and make sure that they get full entertainment, whereas in these other cities he's going to just try to put pieces together and make it make sense. And sometimes these cards are a little bit underwhelming, like you said, but like a Fight Night in Riyadh is just as valuable as like a pay-per-view. So it's not like he went a notch down. Like that was like level, that was still like up there. And
but I was gonna say, like, he lost, right?
He lost because his time might be up in the game. I think you see this in fighting where like once you hit the top, it's really hard to muster. That's why guys like Khabib are like, you can admire. It's like he knew that, like, hey, I did everything I needed to do, and I'm at the top of my game, and it doesn't really. I could maybe defend more, maybe I could get a double champ status, but I kind of like am done. And he put up his cleats, you know, he put his gloves down, and I could respect that. I kind of wish
I
after.
think there's a lot of question mark on Khabib's retirement, though. I mean, you know, I feel like Islam's done more than Khabib has, even though Khabib has, you know, undefeated.
Oh, totally. But no, it goes back to, well, he understood the landscape, and it's like, I got my little brother here, Islam, which it's his friend, not brother, but they're pretty much brothers. He's like, I got my brother here. You know, my dad's not alive anymore. I made promise to my mom. Like, I could go 30-0. I could make it about me, but I don't really care to make it about me. Like, I'm just going to. And it's like his goal wasn't like to retire and to be the best of all time. Like, his goal when he was fighting was to be pound for pound number one. Yeah. But I admire that. Like, I wish Izzy beat Pereira and just was like, I'm done. Like, I don't really, there's nothing more I need to prove here. I'm just going to kind of like call it now and maybe get into entertainment and sports and other stuff, or like, you know, movies, or like corner. Like,
he speaks well. I think like he can.
No, he's cool. Like, he's got a vibe, and like he's got style, right? Obviously style bender, but like, you keep going and then you lose, like, kind of like losing to Sean Strickland was like really like a bad loss. Like it wasn't like a good, you know, fight. Yeah. And then Dricus,
and it was a convincing loss. It wasn't close by any means.
And when you watch the fights, like the Dricus and the Imavov fight, Izzy was winning. Yeah. Early. Right. But then you see that like turn where it's like he doesn't have it in him anymore to like push through those moments, because the hunger to like get the belt or hold on to it isn't necessarily there. He already beat his biggest rival, and now he's just kind of doing it because I don't know why, to be honest. Like, he keeps fighting, maybe to see his contract through and just to make a little bit more money towards the end. And once you're done, you're done. You can't really go back to fighting, and he's not the type to do that. But it's sad because he was like an awesome champion. But I think Dricus is a better champion for the division right now. I think he's the best champion for the division right now, and the best person for Kazmat to try to dethrone. It's the best storyline, and it's fun. And
I like that he's accepting it. That's what I really respect.
And he's going to talk some shit.
Yeah, the division for the longest has, you know, tried to avoid, you know, Khamzat, as you know, I think as he's climbed the ranks, everybody's been trying to avoid him, right? I mean, he's gone in, breaks Whitaker's chin, you know, instantly.
Well, let's talk about our favorite.
What's the next big fight card?
The next big card. Well, before we get to the next big card, let's talk about the only other fight of this card that mattered, which was the first fight, which was the only Indian fighter in the UFC, Anshul Jubilee, with his debut. The poor guy gets knocked out 20 seconds into the fight. He was fighting for the country of India. I'm sorry, my boys in India, my brothers. It was a tough one. That one. That one stung. That one stung me. He was in a podcast talking about how he could fight Khabib and beat Khabib, and he was going to be the next best thing in 155, and he lost in 20 seconds. And it was pretty sad, and I was sad about it, honestly, because he needs to do more than just the 10-pound weights in the gym in order to get like knockout power.
Take the weight away from all the girls.
He's a student driver, bro. He's a student driver.
Do you know much about?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So you said what's the next? So there's one this weekend tonight. It's just a fight night. Cannonier versus Rodriguez. And again, these cards are more just like weeding through like who they want to prop up next. Like, I think Gregory Rodriguez is like a really like tough challenge, but he's not like a champion level, and so is Cannonier. Like, these guys are like tough challengers, but they're not champions. I think the next big card is
I like this fight.
This is fun too, but it's not a this is really fun, but it's not actually a big card. The next big card
plus 210 for Cejudo.
Yeah, because Song is really good.
Wow.
I don't think that they've even announced. You put up there, I think 313.
Yeah. Pereira and Ankalaev.
That's right. That's Pereira, the next one.
Yeah. This one. I mean, just for the main event, like this card's gonna be worth it.
No, totally. This is a really good card. Yeah. Pereira versus Ankalaev. A lot of people in the MMA. A lot of people in the MMA community. Right there. A lot of people in the MMA, and this is not finalized yet. This is like the card that they currently have, but a lot of people in the MMA community are getting excited about what they perceive as the fall of like the Dagestani fighters. Yeah. Umar fought Merab and lost championship, right? Now the next step, again, this is what a lot of the like anti-Dagestani like fan base is looking forward to, is Pereira beating Ankalaev. Yeah. And then the final like part of the equation would be Ilya beating Islam. Yeah. Like that's what they want to see. And this is like a narrative that's going, which I think is pretty funny and just interesting. I don't know if it's going to happen this way. Like, what do you guys think is the Pereira versus Magomedov fight, or Pereira versus Ankalaev? How do you see it going? Like, who do you think wins? I think on the betting odds, it's even money. It's 50-50 right now. So
I think Ankalaev comes in as a favorite. I think he's got to come in as a favorite.
I think
no, it's even right now.
It's even now, but I think by
fight, yeah.
I'm fairly certain Ankalaev.
I think Ankalaev wins. And I mean, we could talk about this later. We don't have to get into it right now. But I think what the UFC did to Ankalaev was, I don't know, disrespectful. Like, they didn't give him a title fight. They avoided him getting his title shot for years, even though he was the clear contender. But I mean, I hope he's still in his prime, because that Alex Pereira fight versus Magomed is going to be huge. It's Alex's first fight against a wrestler, right? Like, I don't think he's really fought.
Well, he fought Blachowicz, Jan
Blachowicz, yeah.
Who had a very competitive scrap with Ankalaev. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. That was the split when it should have been Magomed winning. That was like and then I think Magomed got on the mic and was like, "I should have won." And even Jan Blachowicz at the end of that fight was like, No. It should have been Magomed. Like, give the title to him.
Oh, no, for sure. So they had a draw. In watching the fight, I think you could have scored it for Ankalaev. It was close though, and Pereira and Blachowicz was also a close fight, but I think Pereira did win that one. That's what sucks with the decision, judge's decision, is that it could almost go the way of like the bias of whatever city you're in and whatever like commission that's like judging the fights. And that's what sucks about like judges' decisions altogether, that it is bias and it's not based in some kind of like formula that's consistent. You can sit there and think one person won and then the judge was going to give it to the other one, which sucks. But
makes sense when it's close. But
when it's close and you
like, look at this, a draw and then a no contest. Like he's really like had bad luck. And the UFC has not been on his team at all.
Yeah, and they gave him shit going into this fight with Rakic of like, hey, because he should have never even fought Rakic here. Like, he deserved the title fight, but then threw that one in. And Rakic is a threat. And they were essentially like, you got to finish him to get a chance. So not only did he have to win, he had to like go extra to find a finish, and it didn't happen. But he put enough of an entertainment fight and dominated it enough because it was a unanimous. He deserves the shot.
Since 2022, he's deserved the shot.
He's deserved the shot, but I do agree with like part of the propositioning of like creating these fights is that you can't just win. You have to win with some kind of flavor. Yeah. So if he's just out there just just beating people by just, holding them down. Because a lot of people want to compare Khabib, but Khabib was dominating people. And a lot of these other guys, they're not dominating in the same way as they are just kind of, winning by just control time. And that's
you see
boring.
That now, though, right? Like, you see that now, or you say that now about Khabib because you don't see anyone be as dominant on the ground. And now, like, whenever somebody goes on the ground, if you look at the Islam and Volk fight, right? I think that really opened everybody's eyes to how different Khabib was. Because Khabib says Islam is a much better overall fighter. And even his ground game, Khabib says Islam's the only one, like, who could take, like, rounds from him on the ground, right? When Islam fought Volk, we saw, I think, a weakness in his game that we weren't expecting to see, because you never expect Dagestani fighters to not be able to control the ground game and be able to, get whatever positions that they want. And I think when we saw that, two things happened. One, we saw vulnerability in Islam's game, which I think in the next fight he caught up. But then in hindsight, you saw how dominant Khabib was because you never saw a moment of weakness in any of his fights.
No,
when he was on the ground,
he wasn't as well versed, like you said, in terms of like having as many different weapons as Islam had. Yeah. Islam is like so diversified in his approach compared to Khabib, but Khabib was so dominant with his ground control, his ground and pound, and what he was doing in that realm. So this is going to be an exciting fight. The Pereira fight's going to be exciting. I think Pereira's going to win. You guys say Magomed. I think Pereira's going to win. I think that most of that is my bias of like wanting a certain outcome because I think it's better for the sport if Pereira wins. But anyways, just to wrap up with the UFC.
Well, I have one more question for you guys on the UFC thing. John Jones, right? I think
this is a great topic.
We've got maybe one fight left, from him. Everybody wants it to be Aspinall. I don't think it's going to be Aspinall. I think he's expected to fight sometime in June of next year. I think that's the plan.
But if it's not Aspinall, then who?
Yeah.
If Pereira beats Magomed, it's going to be Pereira.
No, I agree.
That's what John Jones wants, but yeah. I don't think that proves anything.
I think I agree with that take in terms of options. It's either Tom or if Alex wins, Alex. I think, speaking for myself as like a real fan of the sport, that Tom is the fight to make because Tom is the biggest threat and most well-rounded and dominant fighter that I think John Jones will ever face. I think John Jones knows that. I think he wants to hype it and build it as much as possible and get paid because I think it's going to be his last fight, and he should get paid. And if the Riyadh and Saudi people, which they are just the best with fights right now, they understand the best fight to make, and they understand that usually a blocker is the money, and they're like, we're going to finance it to make sure everybody gets the money that they think they deserve because this is the best fight. And I'm excited for that because I think he'll probably get 15-20 million to fight Tom Aspinall, and I'm a big Aspinall fan. I think John Jones still can win that fight, and that's what makes it like exciting. It's like I don't know how this is going to go. With Pereira, it's like that's also an entertaining fight, and Pereira is such a presence, but he has holes in his game. Like it's obvious he's not a wrestler, he's not a grappler. Tom Aspinall doesn't necessarily have holes. He's explosive, he's big, he's faster than John, he's younger than John. Like it's such a cool, like entertaining fight.
Too,
he's
right?
got a great
Dude,
he's averaging 2-minute fights. Like he finishes everybody within 2 minutes, and does it different ways, knocks people out, submits them, black belt jiu-jitsu, right. Just seeing that match, like if John wins that, there's no doubt that he is the greatest of all time. Yeah. Like winning that fight, it's like not only does it staple that he is the greatest of all time right now, I really don't think it gets passed in the next 20 years. That's how like momentous that fight could be.
Unless Alex Pereira goes up to heavyweight and beats Tom, right? Or beats
goes 3 divisions.
Goes 3 divisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, the run Alex is making now. I mean, if he can, I think if he makes it past Ankalaev, and whether he fights John Jones or he fights,
well, that's the thing.
I don't think he's doing anything in heavyweight. I don't think
Pereira.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He could. He did. So he kickboxing.
So that's like the ideal scenario for me. It's he beats Ankalaev, John and Tom fight. Yeah. And he fights the winner of that fight because that fight's big no matter what. So it's like you actually add more fights that way versus skipping the Tom and John fight. If you skip that and make it Tom and Alex, you're essentially taking away a super fight for no reason. If I'm booking the UFC, I'm like, how much of this can I milk? Because Alex was a star that fell in their lap. Like they didn't manufacture him. He literally was like, I'm going to go because Izzy's there and I'm going to go fight Izzy. And then he gets there.
That storyline was like
crazy. And that storyline was crazy. And they platform him and all he ever does is come through. He finishes people.
He's fighting like every 3 months. Dude,
he's got this
like,
aura.
I broke my leg. So, I'll take 3 months off. And
totally. He's in the gym with Glover. He's like leveling his game up. His takedown defense, his grappling is getting better. He's such a cool fighter. Yeah. But he's only got a few years. He's only got a couple left because he's old. Like he's 36, 37. And
maybe 2. I think if he beats Ankalaev and he moves up to heavyweight and he wins, he should retire.
He's done, yeah.
He should retire.
Totally.
And I think at that point, the run he's made and his overall, I think, achievements in the UFC, I mean, I could see him be up there. Like,
No. If
conversation. I
he
think
beats
could be the
Ankalaev
GOAT,
and beats the winner of Tom and John, you can argue he's the greatest of all
Right,
time. That's
right.
how like amazing what he did was.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't have
Over
as
like
much
a 4-year,
Yeah,
5-year
even though
sprint,
he
you know?
doesn't have as much like title defenses and these records
In the
and
back
stuff.
half of his career too.
In the
Yeah,
back
it
half of
wasn't
his
even
He
career,
get much older, right?
You
you
getting
can
much
make an
older,
argument that his run was the greatest run and he might be the greatest like UFC fighter of all time if that happens. If
Yeah.
Tom and John fight and John wins, he staples that, and then he could fight Alex again, and so he can get 2 fights if he beats Tom. If he beats Alex, it's just like it doesn't do that much, I don't think.
Right,
like
right.
for John, like beating Alex, it's like there's so much built-in excuses that everyone will have, like, oh well, he's a wrestler and he can do this, he can do that, whereas I think he shuts everyone up if he beats Tom Aspinall. John Jones beats Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
There's no one could debate if this guy was the GOAT or not. All the drug stuff, anything else, like the conversation's just there. So that's the fight I want. Tom is just awesome. You're going to get entertained. I'll have goosebumps before the fight because I'll be scared of like what's happening next. Every time Tom fights, it's like shit's about to hit the fan. And like that's just that's why Ilya's great. That's why Alex is great. That's why even Islam now has a factor that Khabib didn't have, where it's like he's gonna get a finish one way or the other. Like you can't not watch. Whereas like there are certain champs that you can go away from the TV, come back, and you know the fight's still gonna be there because they don't win that way. So to me, they're carrying the sport, and it's a great start to the UFC year so far. I think we haven't had like a spectacle of like an event yet. It's early. I'm hoping that Ilya and Islam fight. I think that's a cool fight. They're working on that. I think Islam is like, let me go up to 170, but has a relationship with Bilal. So there's a lot there, but we can.
I don't think Bilal's keeping that title for long anyway. I'm not sure.
Bilal's my guy, man. I love Bilal.
Yeah.
But okay, I guess we could finish.
Let's wrap it up. I want to wrap it up with one segment.
Yeah. So our last segment will be Tamim's top 5. So that's
okay.
What
So there's this podcast called the Makeshift Project. Have you guys heard of these guys?
No.
Okay, so it's 2 guys. Yeah, it's called the Makeshift Project, and it's a podcast between 2 guys, and they have this famous
make shit or make shift.
Makeshift, one word. And you can go on.
It's like there is somebody called
Makeshift
Makeshift
Project,
though.
yep. So it's these 2
I know
guys.
these guys. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know who the guy in the middle
That's
is.
the Rizzler.
Yeah.
Dude.
But go on their Twitter maybe or something. But they have this segment that's like super popular, where they basically rank. They ask each other questions about, do you know the top 5 cities to live in, or the top 5 coolest places in the world, or whatever. So they have a segment where they do that. So I kind of going based off of what they do. I want to ask you guys a couple of these top 5 things that I've found and see what you guys think. All right. So right now I've got the top 5 party schools in the U.S.
University of Arizona.
No.
Really?
Yeah, that's not one of them. Even though it probably should be, right?
Wait, so what are you asking us to guess what they are?
Yeah. Do you guys want to guess, or do you want me to tell you?
You can tell me. I don't know. I couldn't even guess.
Top 5 party schools in the U.S. Top 5 universities for partying. I'm pretty sure you all would guess 3 out of the 5 if I had to get.
University of Texas?
No.
Texas State?
No.
Party
Alabama
school.
Comes in at 5.
Alabama, okay.
Texas A&M.
No. Michigan comes in at 4.
Oh, okay.
Michigan State University.
So we probably have to think of like huge schools, right?
Yeah. Number 3 is Florida State University. Number 2 is University of Ohio. And then number 1, which is super random, is Tulane, New Orleans.
Aaron, look up the graduation
Number
rate of
1 was
Tulane.
Tulane?
Number 1 partying school.
Well, it's in Tulane. In New Orleans. What'd you want to see?
The graduation rate of Tulane University. We'll see how that correlates to them being number 1 party school. For first time, full time. That's really good. With 86% of students graduating, placing the university.
Tulane is the number 1 party school in the U.S.
Well, it's in New Orleans, so I'm not actually surprised by that.
Yeah. All right. The next one is most polluted countries in the world.
Dude,
starting with
Aaron,
starting with
this
5.
is your moment.
You would
You
guess.
cannot mess this up.
You're gonna guess 2 of these right.
Say the first thing that came to your mind when you heard polluted. The first thing.
Well,
First
it's
country.
just obviously India's at the top.
India is number 5. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Well, China's got to be there.
No.
Oh, Philippines.
No.
Yo, I'm like
No, but you're close. It's all in that area.
polluted countries, huh?
It basically all borders each other. All these countries border each other.
Just a shithole. That's what you're saying?
I've never been to
Basically.
India, so I
Basically.
don't know. I just
No, India's number 5.
India, man. I can't
Number
believe-
4
Yeah.
is Afghanistan.
oh really?
Yeah.
Dude, represent.
Yeah.
Damn.
We're shitting on India right now. Right?
Hey, you guys are
Okay.
higher, man. Hey, all the Indians that are watching this.
Number 3,
get
I don't
at
think
them.
we're number 3. You guys won't guess. It's Mongolia. The next
Wait,
2, y'all should know since I basically laid out the map.
Pakistan?
Pakistan's number 2. Number 1. I'm pretty sure it also borders the rest of the countries that we listed.
What is there? Kazakhstan's there? But
It is. You guys ready? You want the
Yeah.
answer?
don't say Nepal. If you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Nepal, I'm
It's not
I
Nepal.
think
in my
I
mind.
think Nepal's number 6 actually. When I looked at the list, I'm not joking. I promise
That's
you.
not
I looked at
even
the list. I
possible.
think Nepal's number 6.
No.
So we're talking about all this talk. but
What's that
we're
number
just-
one?
We need to go home, take showers, bro. Number 1 is Bangladesh. Bangladesh is number 1.
That counts as India.
Dude, they had their
though.
government.
That's India for me.
Yeah.
it.
So
Are you saying that entire region's India? Be very careful about what you say.
I don't know enough, man. If I see someone, they're like, I'm Bengali, I'm like, all right, cool.
So
And
you're an Indian.
You're Indian.
That's what
yeah.
you say.
That's how I feel.
What if
Yeah.
like somebody says that about like Afghani people? Like, so you're Indian.
no, we would get pissed.
We would fight.
yeah. We would
That's
get
fighting
pissed.
words.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to those parts of the world. If you believe in physiognomy,
Yeah.
the physiognomy, like,
What does physiognomy mean?
I'll look it up for you. You
It's the
tell me.
overturn window. We're gonna bring it back to that overturn window.
No, I'm teaching you guys
Overturn.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm learning right now. Physiognomy. A person's facial features or expression, especially when regarded as indicative of
Just like how people
character.
look, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can make a presumption of how people act.
So you're saying
based off of how
Bangladesh,
they look.
Pakistan, and India are all same people, based off of this definition.
Like they look the same.
Yeah, just physiognomy. Like, and you can say that about Afghans too, and Nepalese
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
there are
Now you can't say that about
similarities.
Nepalese people. Don't say that.
There are certain Afghans that like people will
Never
think
say that
are,
again.
are Mongolian because
Yeah.
of their look. There are certain Afghans that people might think are Russian. There are certain Afghans that people might think are Indian.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, it's like
I think it's like based on region, right? I mean, in Nepal also, if you go north, you get more of your like traditional Asian
yeah.
kind of physical attributes.
And like we talked about
so
last,
all of our
pod-
countries are in the most polluted countries in the.
Dude,
based off of
Why
what,
are we
though?
like? And
Based
we were
off
like
of a
shitting on
20,
each other
I think it was
last
a
week.
2024, 2025 article that I pulled up. Most polluted cities in the world.
Cities or countries?
Countries.
Ooh,
There's
'cause-
no way China is not
Man,
there.
it-
because
There's
based
no
off
way.
cities, it's all in one place.
Yo,
2023.
cut that. Yo, cut
No,
that.
dude. Best countries.
We
in the
can't be
world.
doing this every episode. Yo, polluted
this
countries
is-
in the world include Bangladesh,
Go to
Pakistan, India.
Go to the
Dude,
first
Taz-
link.
Afghanistan's not there. This is like
2020. Go to 2024. Right here. Go to this world population. Oh no. Go down.
Go this way.
No, yeah, down right there. Most world population review. Most polluted. Think it
Does it have a
was-
ranking?
Yeah.
Yeah, top 10. There you go.
Oh damn it. Oh, this is 2022.
This is
But
air
this is
pol-
based on air
See,
quality,
this is why I was like, what do you mean by pollution? Like,
Yeah, this is
because
based on,
there's
like, air quality,
air
yeah.
quality. I
But-
would think China's up here too.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Like with all the.
Damn, Nepal is number 4 or 5.
Damn.
Damn, this is changing like every day, I guess.
But I don't understand why you're interested in this subject.
Me?
Yeah, like what made you interested in like what's the most polluted country?
It's just rankings. You know.
Yeah. Hey, man, we got to look after our planet, man. We
Yeah.
got to call out the people.
All right, so
Just
the
like
next-
last week, you wanted to call out people, right? That, kind of were not assimilating.
Okay.
These people are not assimilating.
No, last week I was talking about a specific thing that needs to be kind of just challenged and worked on and improved.
Yeah.
You know, like I wasn't talking about anything besides just the gym etiquette
Yeah.
and specific cultures that fall into a bucket of not paying attention or being too self-centered. And I think that's important in different subjects, and we can get into those different subjects. But last week is just about the gym specifically, and it's not just one culture of people that do these things in the gym, but when you do it just based off numbers, there are specific cultures that have more bodies and numbers that like get away with it, and you got to challenge that. So it's like, I love all people. I love Indians. It's just
I'll let our Indian audience challenge you on it. I think we had a few comments that addressed your point.
I was confused about the comment. One of the comments, it was like, change the gym.
Yeah, change the gym. Maybe you're in the wrong gym.
No, it's my home gym that I grew up going to that has gotten more Indian.
And then all of them are like not.
It's changing the culture of the gym. Like it's changing the dynamics in the gym to where like you're not gonna want to go to that gym anymore.
So you're saying like all these immigrants are coming over and just taking over your like home gym. So you're like, your issue is, you know, the same thing that like Americans are facing right now, right? Which is like all these immigrants come in, but they're not taking the jobs. They're just taking like your gym space.
No, that's not my issue. My issue is that
that they're not following gym etiquette.
There's etiquette, and it doesn't matter who's in the gym. It does not matter what race, creed, or religion. Like you're in the gym to work out. But when you're there, it's a shared space. And so how you participate in that shared space matters. And if there's a group of people who are common trend of certain things that are ruining the experience for everyone, they need to be challenged. I don't need to go find another gym.
You go to the gym and you're going to be there for an hour at least, 2 hours maybe more. You want it to be comfortable and you want to enjoy that time. If you're on a long flight, you know, you don't want it to be around bad hygiene people. You know, you want it to be clean and smelling nice, right?
Yeah,
like
but
you don't
that's
like
true.
that's also
two
like
different examples.
Two
You're
different
not, like, actively
examples.
sweating on the flight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
That's a whole nother topic. Gym specific. It's like, let's get into the weeds of this. Like,
bro, it has nothing to do with sweating though, bro. It's like the smells. Sometimes the smell even
but
before the
like,
sweat.
when you're
bro.
in the gym, you're actively smelling
yeah,
bad because of
exactly.
working
I
out.
think that the planes and other shared spaces are different topics that also need to be discussed. But the gym,
we got to bring in some other groups too, like
100%.
There's some groups that need to be called out, man.
Yeah.
So
Their
many
behaviors
groups.
in public spaces.
So many groups. But like again, we're doing this based off of we're going based off numbers.
We'll get there.
We're going based off numbers. The biggest influx of community that's growing in North Dallas is the Indian community. The most people in the world is that community, like, you know, 1.4 billion, right? So just based off numbers, it's like they have strength in numbers. And so there's strength in numbers. And so like you can move to any city that you want. You can be a part of any community and come in. I'm welcoming of all types and people. The point is, like, when you make those decisions and you go to those places, you have to follow like a set of like unspoken rules that like are important for the community and for the individual. So you want like to go to a gym, like you want support of the people that are in that community with you in order to maximize what your, you know, purpose is. Like, you're not going to the gym for other people, you're going to the gym for yourself. But if everyone followed that trend, and let's say everybody wore sandals or didn't wear shoes, and everyone came in like work clothes or like casual clothes, which again catches sweat, like a pair of jeans and a pair of like athleisure catches your sweat differently, like it holds onto it differently. So if you're doing it the way you feel like you want to do it, but based off your own culture and your own like set of rules, then you're ruining it for the rest of the shared space, and you're ruining by proxy, you're ruining your own experience. So this is just like, again, an educational thing. It's like, listen, be mindful of these things so that you can refuel your own like energy going back the next day, and it's like not an issue. And again, not all Indians like fall under this category. There are Indians that go and and all respectful of the gym and do all those things. But then there's a lot that don't. So then it's like, what are you just going to ignore those people or just be like, oh, I don't want to be racist or I don't want to say anything? It's like, no, it's like, hey man, like wear some protective gear, wear the right shoes so you don't trip and fall, wear the right, deodorant or odor blocking so that you can bring more of your friends and your people into the space and not completely just ruin it for other people. It's like, yeah, of course you could find another gym, but who is that? How is that helping anyone to just go to another gym?
You're like running away from the problem.
It's the problem exists. So
but there's no running away from it in DFW. I mean, it's gonna be from one gym to another gym. It's gonna,
I really have to go to like the basketball courts at Lifetime and really see if somebody.
You don't have to go to basketball. You can go anywhere, bro. You can go anywhere.
Listen, you could go to Ramadan Hoops. Okay, Ramadan Hoops.
Yeah.
Full of brown people, all kinds of brown people, all together after breaking fast, after eating sweaty food, after fasting all day, and it's all types of different types of brown people, and it doesn't smell like awful because people understand as a collective. There's Indians there, there's Pakistanis.
What if like it doesn't smell bad because you're like in that space and you're used to that smell?
No.
Because your sensitivity to like certain smells
that's
also.
That's 100%. There's some facts to that. Like in that space, people are going to be more welcoming of like a smell that's off-putting because they're going to kind of understand a little bit more for sure. And you're going to get used to it. But in like just a normal like everyday gym that like, there's a mixed community of people. You just got to be super mindful of the rules. Like it's not polite to stand and stare at somebody else work out. It's not polite to like overwhelm or don't bring like your children to the gym. It's not like a baby, daycare, right? Like don't let them like run around the weights because it's dangerous too. It's not like,
that's the thing that bothers like all, I want to say, let's say like, Indians and Nepali people when like we're all notorious for this. This is not like an Indian thing only. Like even I'm gonna call out like my own people because we do this. We'll go to a wedding and normally when we're invited it's we don't do like, oh, bring your family or something. Typically the head of the household gets the invitation and by default everybody is invited, right? So got 15 people in your family, like all 15 people are invited. That's just how like invitations work. People bring kids to weddings and just let them run free. And I can't tell you how many weddings I've been to where I'm just bumping into kids left and right. They're just running around. It's like I don't know. I think like brown parents, they don't care about their kids, man. They just like whatever. Let them go run free wherever they are.
And this is something where it's like it's again a separate conversation from the gym stuff, but it is like a cultural thing where in our parts of the world it's normal to do that and it's okay. But like when you come here, there are just boundaries and a set of rules that you need to like follow to be kind of polite to like the culture here while still maintaining your culture. So for me, it's gym specifically. Like I used to live in an apartment in the colony and I'd work out in my apartment gym and there would just be this Indian family that would come and like he would bring his kids and he would do a workout, but his like 5-year-old and 6-year-old kid are around these
which we're very happy to see, right? We're very happy to see people going to the gym as a family, starting young. Right?
I mean, not really. I mean, if you're gonna bring, I love
the good side of you.
But if you're gonna bring kids to the gym, it's because
do you not want to teach them young to live a healthy, fit life? The importance of staying active.
Okay, yeah, if that's what your intention is when you're in the gym, but that's not what the intention is. The intention is like, I have kids I need to watch, but I also want to work out, so I'm gonna bring my kids to the gym. Whatever they do at the gym's none of my business. I'm gonna do my workout.
Maybe those kids are like, learning by watching the parents, live a healthy.
I'm not blaming the kids. It's not about the kids. Of course that's a good thing. I'm saying,
what if that's the overall intention of bringing them to
but
the
that's
gym?
not the intention. So why are we making it like we're doing make believe? I'm talking about they do it because it's convenient for them.
You're saying it's convenient.
It's convenient for them.
And regardless if it's inconvenient for other people, they're willing to do it.
Or if it's dangerous for a kid to be around heavy weights, or if like they're not there, be like, son, sit down. I'm going to watch you. Like, I'm going to teach you how to train. I'm going to teach you how to build yourself. If that's
like, go stay busy. Let me work out.
Even then, there's age like limits to being around weights like that. There's like boundaries that you follow. Like in a real gym, like if you go to Lifetime, they're not going to let a 5-year-old by the 100-pound dumbbells. At an apartment gym, there are rules and restrictions, but no one's enforcing it because that's not like what the community is. It's you can go. And so that's another thing. And again, it's not specific to one race or one creed, but it's a trend that's of high ordinance in this specific culture that like just needs to be called out. Like again, there's nothing racist about that. It's all coming from a place of love where it's like, hey, if you're bringing your family or if you're bringing, you know, your home to the gym, that's not the point. If you're bringing your clothes, your sandals, like whatever you're wearing at home or your casual setting into like a shared space, then you're ruining the experience for everyone, including yourself, because you're going to get hateful comments. You're going to get derogatory looks and stares. Yeah. And the whole point is just challenging that a little bit so that you can better yourself.
I think it's a social awareness thing. And I think we talked about it last week. You know, we definitely have to bring in somebody who can explain kind of these from their perspective.
That's hard to do. That's hard to do. Like,
because I talked to one of my when we stopped recording last week on the way back home. I called one of my friends, you know, she's an Indian, and I was talking to her, and I was asking her, hey, by the way, like, you know, we talked about sandals, and the answer I gave is a cultural thing. And she's like, you're stupid. It's not a cultural thing. It's because it's very hot, and we don't want to be wearing shoes all the time. So it's just the climate that we're in. It's, you know, we're talking like 115 degrees, 120 degrees. We don't want to be wearing socks. We don't want to be wearing shoes. So we just wear sandals because they're more convenient. We don't sweat through our feet, and just historically that's just like what we've done. So we're not used to they have shoes in India, by the way. We just don't prefer, you know, to like put on our socks, put on our shoes. It's just more convenient to just put on a sandal and go everywhere.
So everything is based off of convenience, which it shouldn't be the case in some situations.
And that's kind of the point. It's an educational thing. Like how else do you learn if nobody's calling you out, or if there's like a fear of like, oh, this is racist or messed up, or it's not just Indians or not every Indian. It's like, for sure it's not. Like, that's not the point. But the conversation is about like everything you just said, like, okay, but it's not 115 degrees in the gym.
Yeah. But not only that, like sometimes what's convenient isn't what's good for you.
No, it's
not.
And
it's not what's good for the community. Like
exactly.
Me not taking a shower and not brushing my teeth and not putting on deodorant is convenient. Yeah. It's convenient because I'll save time not doing those things. But you shouldn't not do. You should, you know, convenience. So
you're saying you don't like doing those things?
No, I'm saying if I wanted, it's not convenient to do that. But you should be doing these things. So
like hygiene is. But
are you doing it for others or for yourself though? Like, because the justification you're using is like, oh, what's convenient for me is not convenient for others. So by that logic, what you're saying is you do those things for other people.
What I'm trying to say is that
because like when you're home alone, you still do those things, right? You still brush your teeth, you still take a shower. So I don't think it's you do it just like for yourself, you know. It's not inconvenient for you, because if it was inconvenient when you were by yourself, you wouldn't be doing those things.
Well, it is inconvenient because it takes time, right? Like if you're running late to a meeting, is it convenient to get ready and to dress up and to put deodorant on? Like, no, it's not convenient, but you're going to do it. Yeah. So I get what you're saying. Like, even when you're not around people, you still do those things. Yeah. But you know, wearing sandals in a climate where it's hot means that it's more convenient to wear sandals because you don't want to be sweating in your shoes. Yeah. But sometimes you have to think about like what's not convenient, but what's appropriate, and how do people want to?
It's a mix, right? Because you guys are talking about multiple things, right?
Right. It depends on the environment.
It's a mix. So it's convenience, it's preference, and it's kind of cultural norm, what's practical. Right. Like you mix that, you mix all that, and then that goes into your decision making, right? So for any culture, everyone's, you know, intentions too, right? Like why do you go to a gym? Like you said, like to see people in the gym, the first initial like feeling you should have towards a fellow person in the gym is admiration and respect, because you're like, you're putting in the work and you're prioritizing your health, and that's important. Right. But then like just like the culture of like filming yourself working out or like my preference, or what I would like to do when I'm in the gym, is work out with my shirt off. Like I want to see my body, but I don't do that in a shared space because it's not just about me, it's everybody that also pays membership that goes to this gym, and the unwritten rules of like, this is the polite, like, the right way to do things in order for everyone to get the best experience. It's not just about you, it's about everyone that's there. That's why like sitting and staring at people, or like not putting your weights up after you're done with a workout. Like there's so many things that a lot of different people do in a gym.
Specific to a culture.
Not specific to a culture. It's just habits in the gym. Yeah. But there are specific cultures that follow specific trends that are big no-nos that need to just be called out and be like, hey, like we can be better. Like if I'm in a gym and there's a guy my age or a woman, most likely I'll engage with a guy. Like if I see an Indian woman or any woman in the gym and they're not following like a set of rules that I feel like are important, I'm probably not going to go and engage with them and talk to them about it. I just don't feel like that's my, like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, even if I have an opinion on it. But especially if it's a guy, a brown guy, especially in my like age range or like, you know, of my like kind of profile, and they smell and they're wearing the wrong type of clothes and they're staring or they're doing things that are bad, like I'll go to them and I'll tell them like, hey man, like try to focus on not doing this so that you don't get like bad stares or judgmental stuff, or you don't get attacked some reason. It's
What's
like
been the feedback when you've done that? Like, is it taken like positively?
It's so like clunky and awkward at first because it's like mind your own business.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my point. It's like I would have minded my own business if you didn't make your business my business. And that's what you're doing when you're not like covering your odor or like, you know, it's like you have to be, it's like, it's just this like, it's like you're communicating with the people around you without talking to them by your actions when you're in a gym, and you have to like be super mindful of everything and be kind of polite towards your neighbor so that you know, because you wouldn't want somebody doing something, you know, towards you that would block you from like getting a good workout in a time frame, right? You wouldn't want somebody like not following the rules. So it's really just comes down to just leveling up a little bit. And the more Indians there are in the community, I'm happy about it. They're here for the right reasons. They work hard and their intentions are great. But there's a level of like just respecting the culture and not overwhelming with your own preference, convenience, you know, whatever it is that you feel like is right, and safety and all of that stuff. Like a lot of
two things we're talking about, right? I think first is in a social setting, you know, when you're with other people, you know, what are quote unquote acceptable behaviors that convey respect, right? I think that's one theme. The other one is, you know, what are some things you should do just for yourself, right? For, you know, for your safety, you know, if you're at the gym, just wearing, you know, proper shoes so you're not dropping weights on your feet or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
So these are, I think these are all informative and educational things that we'll talk about even more as we go, because I think our intention is to educate and help people understand, because I think we looked last week, right? There were roughly 100,000 new people moving into either Texas or the U.S. Every year.
Like DFW there's like 80 to 90,000 every year.
Yeah, so every year we've got almost, let's say, 100,000 people moving in. So that's going to be a lot of people here. So we're going to, you know, use our platform to educate.
Yeah, to make it more welcoming for everybody involved, and like to focus on the good parts and the value of like the culture and not just the bad things. Because we don't want our people to
be looked down by others because of these things, right?
Exactly. Like it's like a community.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
talked about, like, you and I talked about it, where like we're almost like bullied into not doing certain things like when we were young. So that's kind of like ingrained in our memory, right? Like, don't do these things because not because like you have the justification for it, just because you have like some type of trauma from getting bullied for it. So you just have to go and
and you know what, honestly, and we could wrap up with this, but you know what I've noticed is like more kind of hate towards like these cultures, and like specifically towards Indian culture. Like it's been in the zeitgeist, like it's in the news, like it's in the politics, like the whole H-1B program got like, you know, highlighted with Elon Musk and Vivek, and if you go on Twitter, you know, it's pretty toxic towards this group of people. And like real life experiences, there's like a lot of people who are like, oh, you know, like get annoyed because there's such a high number and there's a lot of Indians that they want to like be hateful towards Indians. And that's what really triggers me, is like my my goal isn't to be hateful. Like
Right.
my goal is to like challenge those things so that there's a level of evolution and leveling up so that the focus can be on other things, because there's just a lot of value that's brought to the table. But if you're not like talking about the uncomfortable truths, then they'll just always exist and they'll always just like fuel the hate. And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like sometimes hard and mean, like just like getting bullied, right? Yeah. But the intention is like, listen, I'm calling these things out so that anyone who hears this or listens to it, maybe it resonates with them, or maybe they can tell their friends or their brothers, where it's like, hey, like if you're in a house and your brother or like your son or your sister or your dad or whatever is leaving the house to go to a shared space, like you can be like, hey, like where, like for a gift, like let me buy you like athletic shorts and shoes and a shirt, because it's gonna be a better like experience for you, and it's going to be a better experience for the people you're sharing that space with. Let me give you like these odors blocking like scents and smells. It's good for you and your hygiene, and it's also good for the space. Supplements to drink and to eat to be better like athletically. It's like, it's just talking about all these things all the way through versus just ignoring them and pretending like everyone talks about it anyways behind people's backs, and that doesn't necessarily change any kind of like, there's no evolution with just like having side conversations. It's like, let's call a spade and talk about it and prove me wrong, or tell me why it's not a thing, and that it won't be a thing, or it's not an issue, or it's not something that you've dealt with yourself as an individual. There's just a lot of positive things that I want the focus to be on in general, but it's like calling people. I'm not with that just being like, these people are bad people or F these people, or, I'm not generalize. Yeah. I don't generalize. I'm not with that. I don't like when people do it either. Like sometimes it's funny, like people can be funny and be racist. Like sometimes it's funny. But
we do it to ourselves, right? Like
all the time.
Nobody makes fun of like our own culture than we do.
Exactly, right? All the time. Like there's always infighting and shit talking, right. But that's not what this is. At least not my intention. My intention is like, hey man, like you could be better here. Yeah. Like just think about it. Think about it and try a new way and see if it's better for you and your experience. Because then it does come back to the individual. It's like, actually what happens is like you're caring for the community, but what you're doing is giving yourself a better experience by like prioritizing everything and not just thinking about yourself. And I think that's like a fine line that people have to walk across. So we'll see how things go, but I'm going to just be honest, like, and tell my truths, and I'm gonna talk shit and just laugh about it.
You're sharing your experience.
Yeah.
And he's not catering to the people at the gym, Kendrick's not catering to the crowd at the Super Bowl. So it's good to
but I am catering
because
to
it's impactful, like whenever
but I am
you have a hard conversation. Like, you have a hard conversation when even though they don't want to hear it. Yeah. Because you're not catering to the crowd like Kendrick in the Super Bowl. All right, guys, let's wrap it up.
What are you talking about? But I am catering to.
I think he's just hurt from you calling him a stan.
No, but I am catering to the people at the gym, just like you're supposed to cater to the audience of the. No,
but what you're saying is that what you're telling the people at the gym, the gross behavior needs to be talked about. Otherwise, it's not going to change, right? Like what you're saying to like the gross behaviors, the gross etiquettes in the gym needs to be called out. Otherwise, it's not going to be changed.
Gross. Let's say areas of improvement. Let's just say we see areas of improvement.
Bad hygiene's gross. It's gross, and the gross habits need to be fixed.
We don't know if it's hygiene or if it's a food thing, if it's a physiological thing. We don't know, right?
I don't know what the PC way to say it is, but
do we disagree that people from different areas, their bodies work differently? Like we don't disagree with that, right? We know that people from certain regions can sweat a lot more than people from the other, some other region. We understand that they're physiological differences.
Yeah, I sweat a lot, man. Yeah. I can go up the stairs and start sweating.
Brother, if I don't shower or brush my teeth or use deodorant or work out, like I'll be fat and smelly. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter where you're from. Like there are things that you need to do to like improve. And I'm not like...
And the most impactful way is to speak about it. You know what I mean?
I'm just trying not to get us canceled like 3 episodes.
Kendrick speaking in the Super Bowl. Okay, but because it was the greatest performance of all time. You don't understand? It was the greatest performance of all time.
No, bro, you're soft right now.
Okay, all right, let's wrap it up. So,
well, that was episode 3 of our podcast. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed.
Sean Strickland's the GOAT.
Yeah. Let us know your opinions. I mean, let's call Tamiem a Stan. You know, that's his nickname, Tamiem Stan. How do you pronounce your last name?
Don't say it.
I tried to
It's Lamar Strickland.
I tried to get him.
Last name Lemar Buttboy.
If there are any topics that you guys want us to cover, let us know in the comments. We're always open to talking about different things. But appreciate y'all watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.